All right. Hey everyone. Today I'm going to juice it up and talk to you about my very first vipassana experience. If you don't know what vipassana is, I will link information down below. I'll give you a quick summary of what it is right now, give you a little background on me if you're new here. Hi, my name is Casey. I'm a pranayama breathwork teacher, total opposite practice of what vipassana is. But vipassana essentially is a meditation technique. There are vipassana centers all around the world. It's a 10-day silent meditation experience. I would say it's a course more than a retreat. Definitely one of the hardest things I've done in a very long time. One of the most rewarding, which we'll get into. 10 days, no eye contact, no gestures, no speaking. You're meditating for 6 to 8 hours every day. Your last meal of the day is at 11 a.m. You're up from 4 a.m. to 9 o'clock at night every day for 10 days. It's segregated, so men are together, women are together. It's like a big campus essentially, and there's a woman's side and a man's side. I asked you guys on Instagram to send me in some questions. Let's get into it. Today we're juicing beets, pineapple, apple, lemon. One of my favorite kind of like winter juices. It's a super rainy, cold day. Enjoy some juicing with me. Were you able to practice breath work during the meditation? No. They make it very clear. The teacher actually even like called me to like do a teacher interview in the very beginning because on my application I expressed that I'm a pranayama breathwork teacher. Pranayama and breathwork is the same word, for those who don't know. They actually called me into the office just to make sure that like I was doing it right and that I was like okay, because they make that very clear. You're not supposed to do any like full-on yoga, exercising, reading, journaling, any other practices, just to like really allow vipassana to be the only technique, like to see what your life is like when you just focus on, basically just focus on one thing. I should have got these all out the dishwasher before we got started. No breath work, although if I'm being totally honest, I definitely took some diaphragmatic breaths in some of those sits. And just in the morning and at night, like I always just, for 5 years, I've been practicing breath work. So my body and nervous system are trained a certain way at this point. Like we're going on year 5. When I wake up, I take slow breaths before I go to bed. That's what I do to go to sleep. I will say what was interesting in the very beginning, the first like maybe 3 days of Vipassana, I'm always really aware of my breath and other people's breaths in general. Like it's kind of annoying, but it's kind of great. Vipassana is all about being aware of your breath, not changing it. They literally say in the beginning, like this is the opposite of pranayama. They tell you throughout it that you can take, like if your mind drifts too much, like if you feel called, you need to take like a couple hard breaths, they call them, aka an intentional conscious breath, then you're allowed to do that. But in the beginning when we got started, I really did notice that my breathing was like speeding up during the technique, like especially during the Vipassana portion, because the beginning you're doing Anapana and then you get into Vipassana day 4. It's so interesting making this video because I didn't watch any of these before I went. I just went. I was noticing my breath like speeding up and I was just like, okay, I'm like sitting here and my breath is like speeding up. I'm a big believer in the activity and the breath have to match. So that was challenging at first. Especially because my body was literally like doing it. It really wasn't me like deciding what to do. My body was just like, we gotta slow it down. We're speeding up here. We're entering fight or flight. But you're basically, in a sense, like scanning the body mentally over and over again. And for whatever reason, it would just like trigger me into a faster breath. Ironically enough, it really made me appreciate breath work a lot more. Not to take away from Vipassana, but it just really made me more connected to breath work in a way. Although I think I'll now incorporate Vipassana into my life. I feel like my experience is probably very different than just anybody who's like getting into meditation and stuff. Can you go outside? Would you consider doing it again? Was there decent fruit options? Salads. So can you go outside? Yes, the whole thing is like a big campus, at least the one I went to in Georgia. I'm pretty sure they're all like that though. I spent like an hour in the woods every single day. I dedicated every day to a year of my 20s. And I also dedicated a day, each day, to someone in my life to help me get me through it. Because y'all, I don't think you heard me. 6 to 8 hours of sitting in meditation, like in lotus. Like the first 3 days, everybody is in pain. And that's kind of what the practice is about, is like one of the many things the practice is about is like observing that pain and not attaching to it and allowing it to just come and go. But the first 3 days are hard, or were for me, I'll say. My back was going crazy and my knees at one point too. So you can go outside, there's a little walking trail for men and women. The schedule, the way it's laid out, everything's on the website, the actual schedule. The way it's laid out, there are like rest periods and like periods where you can stroll about or like do your thing. And you can like lightly stretch, but like not whole downward dog warrior too. Like, would I consider doing it again? It's so funny because someone else asked me this, and like I'm still processing it, I think. So like right now, I'm like, no. But I could see maybe in a year or so why someone would go again. I also think though, hot take probably, that too much of anything is not good. And I could see how too many of them could also have an effect that wasn't maybe positive. Just because there is like no serotonin for 10 days, like you're not on your phone, I don't know if I mentioned that, but you have no contact to the outside world, no phone, no anything. And you're like serious, like you're in this monk serious mode for 10 days. For me personally, I realized there that I'm a fun-loving person. Like I am a playful person. I love to play. So I could see also how like certain types of people could get really like trapped into this energy. Decent fruit options. I think they do it seasonally. I'm so over apples, bananas, and oranges. Those were the main, and grapefruits were there, but I don't like grapefruit. All of the meals are vegetarian, mainly vegan, honestly. I ate fine. Like everything was vegan. They had a couple things that had dairy, but they were marked with like dairy if they had it. Every day you could build your own salad. And I mean, it was a very like, I mean, it was pretty decent. Like they had like sunflower seeds and like all the things, nutritional yeast and like, I mean, tomatoes, cucumber, radishes, whatever. Like they had like the things for a salad for sure. If you were like a raw foodist and you were thinking about going, because I of course thought about that. I thought about fasting when I go, but they actually tell you like fasting's not allowed, which like, you know, do what's best for you always. But yeah, I just was like, I'll just be a vegan here. But if you were like gonna do it like raw or like fruitarian might be tough just because it's the same fruits pretty much every day. Overall takeaways, biggest thing that came to you, lessons, we want the tea. This video is so hard to make. I have so much to say. I actually wrote 4 pages of notes as soon as I could write down anything, because you can't journal while you're there. As soon as I could write things down, I wrote 4 pages down of just like a brain dump. So let me see some big takeaways. I think one of the bigger ones is just like within myself, just noticing how capable I am. I think I've like in the last 2 months really fallen off of my like routines in a way. And like really this year, like an hour of breath work, to be transparent, has been like difficult to balance with like teaching breathwork. It's been kind of hard to find that middle ground. Recognizing and realizing how quick an hour is for one. An hour is so not long. So every sit was an hour. And we had at least 4 mandatory sits and then basically like practice rounds where you're supposed to sit. Sometimes your girl was taking a nap. I think most people were taking naps some of those days. And also just like, you think you're so strong and tough and like the world's greatest athlete could go in there and be like, I'm so strong. But sit still for an hour without moving at all. Not itching, not fidgeting, not like your shoulder starts to hurt so you roll it. Like try to do that. It is not an easy task. And I can't even tell you that I think I had 1 sit where I like fully didn't move for real. Most of them I'm at least like gonna roll out my neck or like will crack like a shoulder or something. So I haven't like mastered the technique by any means. Discusses also the course a lot about just like equanimity in your body and that kind of like detachment you can have when like pain or things are happening. Can you really just be in your seat of security, of support? And honestly, a lot of it, so much of it reminded me of that chapter in my life where I was sharing about fasting and doing breath work. I still listen to the Tao Te Ching all the time, but so much of the messaging was very Taoist. I keep making the joke that it was like the best brainwashing I ever went to. I made a million cult jokes. I also will say that I witnessed that my brain is a full-time comedy show and I like it. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's great. I'm a comedian, y'all, like a full comedian up there. Other big takeaways, videos that we watched, because the whole thing is a recording, in case you didn't know that. The whole thing is taught through a recording, which is pretty crazy actually. My brain was just like, how did they come up with this? How was this created? Like that's all I was trying to figure out. On the note of anger, like bitter seeds can't bear sweet fruit, meaning like walking around resentful or bitter or angry is never really gonna be met with happiness. Let's see, I'm going back to my notes because it's a lot, y'all. Because I dedicated each day to my 20s and just reflecting every day on it, like each year. Like day 1, I was looking at 21, day 2, 22, because I turned 30 in January. So this was like the most space and time I've ever had to really observe my brain for one, and just reflect and process things that I like really, they've gotten buried over the years and I never got a chance to process. So just that in general, like reflecting on my 20s, I was just like, I've lived an incredible life. Like this This life is so beautiful. It smells so good. I had so many dreams. Releasing the past. So as much as I was reflecting on everything from the past, it really allowed me to release a lot of it because it's just like, it already happened, it's done. The image you carve of someone is just a partial truth. You can have this idea or image of somebody in your head, and then somebody else has this totally different idea of that same person. So who's right? What's the truth? Again, on the note of like fasting, and I used to preach about this all the time back then, if y'all been following me for a while, but craving just creates more craving. You know, I always used to talk about the happiness of pursuit instead of the pursuit of happiness that a lot of us get trapped in, which is a bar for my brother. I'm not about to act like that was my bar. That was his bar. It's just so real. Like, how often do we just want to want, or we're like addicted to craving? We're not even really addicted to the thing. Like, we just like love to want and need things. But really, the real freedom is not needing anything. I do this every time I juice. I always forget to grab a spoon, and all my things are in the dishwasher. Just really like mind over matter is such a real thing, and we really forget that so easily all the time. Everything is really a matter of how you react to it. Everything. And I think getting that at an intellectual level is one thing, but to get that at an experiential level, like feeling pain in your body, like the deepest pain in your back that you're like, oh my God, I can't sit here any longer, but doing it anyway, and then watching the pain go away, like feeling that, like understanding that at a level of experience rather than just intellect is unmatched. I will say I'm struggling to get motivated since I've been back. I've been very like, what is the point of everything? It reminds me so much again of 2020, where I was getting into Taoism and fasting and all of that, and I was just like, what is the point of any of this? Like, what are we driving around doing? What are we spending money on? What are we like this is how I ended up in a van. What was it like recalibrating back into the world? How did it affect your sensitivity? Like I said, it's been a little challenging, like totally getting back into everything. So on day 10, they break the noble silence and you're able to talk. You don't get your phone back or anything, but you're able to talk to those around you. I had a roommate also. I left that detail out. I had a roommate, and we spoke on day 0 when we first get there, but we didn't speak to each other for like 10 days, and we lived together. And it was beautiful. Like, she was so cool. Shout out to Noelle if she happens to see this. Getting to know somebody through silence. Like, I knew sharing silence was a love language of mine, but that was like times 10. Like, it was so cool to just click with somebody and understand and learn somebody and their little traits and their little things they do. Not saying a word. That was the most like intimate and beautiful thing I've experienced in a long time. The very first day when I got my phone back, the phone felt extremely heavy. It feels so heavy. I'm like, I can't believe I carry this around all day. I was flooded with so much love, like so much. I was in tears of just like, what is life? Because I've always kind of selfishly wondered what my absence would feel like for other people. And so this is the first time that something like that ever happened, where no one could reach me for 10 days, you know? Selfishly a little bit, I just like really wanted to see how that would like impact the people I love. And to see that it really did was like, oh wow, kind of felt really good. I put on a Beyonce song. 1+1 was the first song I listened to.
But I know I will fight for you. Hey, just when I ball up my fist, I realize I'm laying right next to you, baby. We ain't got nothing but love.
That is like a gospel song for me. I can't explain it, but it is. Yeah, music took a little while to get used to. Looking people in the eye took a while to get used to. I feel like it's overall okay. It's just the highway is really loud. Like, some things are just really loud, and I don't know why they're so loud. My first words once you could speak again, me and my roommate walked out of the meditation hall, and I think she just looked at me and she was like, we did it! And I was like, we did it! Or I think I was like, we survived quiet camp, because we like nicknamed it quiet camp at the very beginning. What is the biggest challenge for you? I may be doing it too next month. Really hope you do. And like, I've done like 4 to 5 hours of breath work in a day. That's happened. Not like that consistently. So like every day on a schedule, like 4 a.m., like I wasn't doing it like that. The biggest challenge for me was, yeah, physically the first like few days was just so hard. Third day, I think I even woke up feeling like sick. Like I had a stuffy face and like impurities were literally coming out of my face. Giving up the phone and not talking was not hard at all. That was just like, whatever, like take the phone, please. Day 7 was the hardest hardest day for me. Like day 1, the very first day, because you kind of don't know what to expect. But day 7, for some reason for me, I was just mentally so over it. Like I was like, are we done? Like, I've been here for a week, and every day you're thinking about that last day, which was also really interesting once we got out and we could talk, realizing that everybody was thinking the same exact thing. A lot of you guys asked that, what was the most challenging part? I would say that though. I would say just sitting for hours. Some days were really good, like some times of the day were really good, you know, but some other times were just like, there's no way that I can keep doing that. Like I can't do this again. Like being aware of my breath and ignoring the urge to correct it was also challenging. Like I said, it made me really love breathwork though. Now I'm like back. Now I'm like, okay, an hour of breathwork every day. How does it compare with your 10 Tumo breaths guide? I don't know what you exactly mean. It did make me like want that to exist. I'm not gonna lie. Like I had that thought while I was there. I was like, if this whole thing existed, but was breathwork and fasting, like if we were sitting in here for an hour, 4 times a day, doing just Tumo, like slow Tumo breaths, we would be literally flying to the moon. I think that's kind of the gist. Hopefully I answered everything. She said she get it from her mama. That song is stuck in my head. Anyway, I really appreciate y'all sending in all the questions. I know this video was a chatty one. I appreciate you hanging out with me and juicing with me. Even though you didn't really juice with me, just watch me juice. Let's try it. Oh, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. There's probably so much more I could say, but everybody's experience is super different. I will also just end this video with saying that like none of the things that happen to me could happen to you. Like it could be totally different. It was a beautiful experience though, and I would say if you're curious about it, like go do it. It's so worth it. Yeah, I will link everything down below if you're interested. Like I said, they're all over the world. Again, I didn't really watch anything before I went. I have some friends that have gone to Vipassana and told me little things, but I really just wanted it to unfold how it was supposed to for me. So keep that in mind too, like detach, just let it be. I'm gonna clean up here. I like this little style of video, these juice and chats. I said this in the very first one and I was like, I'm gonna keep this going and didn't, but maybe we will now again, now that I have a little bit bigger of a kitchen and the lighting is a little better. Let me know if there's a different topic you want me to talk about, juice it up, share a recipe with you. This was pineapple. I use Fuji apples, however you wanna say it, lemon and beets, and it's so good. I'm about to chug it. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Peace.